Okay, that is more than enough for me. I think it's time to get to our first event of the day. Couldn't be more excited to have Beverly Joubert with us. She is a world-famous, award-winning filmmaker, photographer, conservationist, and a National Geographic explorer. She co-founded the Big Cats Initiative with her husband, Derek, and together they've produced over 35 films for National Geographic with 22 Emmy nominations and 8 awards. They've published about a dozen books, 2 of which in the last year during the lockdowns. She also co-founded the Great Plains Conservation that manages over 1.5 million acres of conservation land in Africa. So I'm going to bring Beverly in with us now. Beverly, it is so great to have you joining us live this morning to kick off day 2.
Hello, Joe, and thank you. Really do appreciate it. So hello, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about conservation and to leave you with a few important questions I've been pondering over this period. They are tough ones. Who are we all as humans? Why do we feel so much more superior and deserving to live above every other animal species? We are clearly the superior ape, the super predator, and yet we continually make the wrong decisions for our planet, both on land and the oceans. We have found that to be able to make a difference in conservation, it's all about collaborating. So my talk today is an invitation to all of you to join forces to help make that world a better place as we emerge from the pandemic. We're all hungry for the life to be normal again, but was normal really good enough? So here is a video we created a long time before COVID, and it's an artistic protest against that normal world we were living in and what we were doing to the environment back then. We call it Mad World. So let me rewind for a moment. For the past 35 years, I've worked with my collaborator, my husband and creative partner, Derek. Joe was mentioning Derek earlier, exploring and filming to illuminate the last remaining pristine areas. For us, it's been all about creating empathy and trust for all wildlife and all communities. We've focused our attention on the top predators. Here is a little example of Derek and me in the field with the ultimate big cats that we've been working with.
We've been following big cats for nearly 40 years, largely in and out of the swamps of the Okavango. This is our comfort zone, when you can hear them breathing, feel the anxiety. And occasionally earn their trust. This female, like a few others, invited us to her den. To meet her cubs. We've accepted that invitation to join them in their lives. As insiders, as these big cats go about their lives, as if we're invisible to them. And we really do feel that privilege. The more we do it, the greater sense of almost spiritual harmony we feel as we look into their eyes.
But while in the field, it is impossible not to see what is going on, and we discovered a problem. We saw the massive decline on all the big cats. The solution to all conservation is not a single action, though, but a menu of actions. And that is why I talk all the way through about collaboration throughout this talk. It's always based on one single message. And that message is all about compassion, which is not evident in the next video, Unjust Incarceration, that I'd like to show you right now.
Trees of grace.
So not wanting to traumatize anyone, it's just facing the facts of what is happening out there. And it brings us back to asking questions. Do we care for the planet? Do we care for all these cats and other animals? Do we care for each other? Do we even care for the future children not yet born? You know, I used to be driven by the incredible beauty, but now it is often the unjust situations that drive us forward to take action. But of course, every action needs a spark of passion, and what you've just seen is one way. But very early on in our career, we were driven by a tiny little animal that stumbled out of the log and looked at us. We later called her Lachadima. She was 8 days old, a little leopard, and she changed our lives forever. But while making Eye of the Leopard, over a 4-year period, 10,000 leopards were legally killed. And that is devastating, and that's only legally killed. We don't know the illegal amount, but it's especially devastating when you look at that there's less than 50,000 left in Africa. And they have already lost 75% of their historic range. So we knew we had to be their voice and speak out and be ambassadors for them. So this prompted us to start the Big Cat Initiative with National Geographic. And of course, that's another great collaboration. And this is designed as an emergency intervention. So this slide of the grantees is the next part of the collaboration, which goes many steps further with all the grantees in the field. And then behind them are the communities all working closely together like an army of eco-educators. We could never be as successful in saving the big cats without all these projects doing remarkable work. So the Big Cat Initiative now has given over 150 grants to all the people you see in this image in 27 countries in Africa. And it's made a difference, and we continue to make that effort to save big cats. About a year ago, National Geographic did a survey to conclude what was happening with each and every project. And it appears that they have saved about 4,000 lions being killed. Now, you might not think that's a lot, but when you realize that there are 20,000 lions left in Africa, it's significant. By protecting the landscape for the big cats, we also protect every other species in it. But of course, the question is often asked, why do we need to protect the big cats? You look at this image, we have a deep affection for them and appreciate that they have a place both spiritually and scientific. Predators keep prey vital and migrations moving and are an essential part of the health of the ecosystem. A live lion is worth way more to the country's economy than a dead one. All the big cats bring in tourism. That's lions, leopards, cheetahs are all iconic symbols of Africa. Now, if you look at the next image into the eye of the leopard and you look through leopard's eyes, we realized that we were working to protect these big cats, but many other atrocities were happening in the wild. Rhinos were being poached at an alarming rate in southern Africa, and it was impossible for us to sit back. So we started a rhino rescue program, which has been an immense effort, but only by being open to collaborating once again. It has been made possible by joining forces with private sector, governments, military, and all the donors that have helped with the funding. We couldn't have done it without them. We have now relocated successfully 87 rhinos in safe locations. And the success of the project is also that they feel secure because they've had 56 calves have been born in the wild. So a great story of hope. If we put the right conservation methods in place, we can turn the situation around. We found our lives, though, have become multifaceted. We now have a 12-step program in the Great Plains Foundation, which we often refer to them as giving second chances. Here is a short example, but a good time to celebrate the spirit of collaboration. Let's watch the video.
I've heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Well, your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty in the moonlight overthrew you. She tied you to the kitchen chair, she broke your throne and she cut your hair, and from your lips she drew the
work and all the community work enhances communities' lives, but at the same time, the community become the conservationists and the ambassadors for these areas. But all of this relies very heavily on donations from tourism. In 2019, there was a $50 billion industry through tourism in Africa. It went down to practically zero in 2020. Our company, Great Plains, managed to give away $2.5 million to communities and to all the conservation projects we've taken on in 2019. But much of that has now dried up as a direct result to COVID. This seriously hurts the communities and the conservation. So on the next slide, when you look at the elephants out in the savannah, it gives us an immediate concern of what was happening in these vast tracts of land, especially in March in 2020. And we wondered what would be left if it was all unpoliced. So obviously, not having conservation frontline workers out in the field was going to be a problem, and this would lead to a poaching pandemic. We started an emergency campaign to raise funds to keep rangers in the field. We had, and those are really all the rangers that had been either furloughed or had been, had a salary cut. And then we wait. Obviously, it'll all come back when revenue can come back from tourism. But those revenues will only flow if there is a healthy and protected biodiversity. And that was obviously our concern. So a year ago, we started Project Ranger with a group of like-minded people collaborating at its best again. Let's look at what the rangers are facing out there.
Project Ranger. Join us in preventing the new poaching pandemic.
So we have now managed to support rangers across 8 countries in Africa. And that's not only the areas that we're working in through our Great Plains conservation. And so it is ultimately important that that is only a Band-Aid, and we need to be able to support so many more. But that's if we can raise the funding. So it's really all about rebuilding our world so that it does not return to that mad world version that I showed you before the pandemic. And if you look at this little leopard, it looks like this little leopard has rebuilt its world for the day, lying in a Hammerkorp's nest. But in all seriousness, it really has to be our collective goal going forward. We have to redraw the lines, renegotiate our contracts with nature, so we can identify the best parts of what we had before lockdown and draw on the lessons learned through that time. This next video will show what really can inspire one to continue. So last month, we were in the Mara in Kenya, just as our recent film, Jade-Eyed Leopard, was being released around the world. There was a noise on the roof of one of our tents at Mara Plains, and these precious little cubs popped out with steel blue eyes. The same mother leopard that was featured in our latest film on National Geographic decided to leave 2 new cubs in the safety of the camp. This time on the roof, an unusual den for mother and cubs. The last cubs she gave birth to were in the film Jade-Eyed Leopard, and that was under the tent of Baratoto. So this trust, this acceptance of us, despite the madness we create in their world, is one of the things that keeps us going, gets us up at dawn with fresh creative ideas on how to solve these problems, so we can claw back some of the ground lost as conservationists, as we renew our vows with nature. And that's really what we all have to do, is renew our vows. Right now, we need to define ourselves by what we all do for the planet, for maintaining biodiversity, and actively working to save the environment. Thank you for your empathy and trust in listening and hopefully accepting the invitation to be part of the solution. Thank you.
Beverly, thank you so much for that incredible presentation. The images, the videos are truly striking, and it's well matched by the incredible conservation work and projects that you've done and you've supported, especially during the lockdown. Project Ranger is absolutely incredible and so important. Do you, at this moment in time, with a vaccine on the horizon, is there a sense of hope that tourism could start to return in the near future?
Absolutely. I believe that the new vaccine, and everybody is obviously very tired of feeling that they've been in their own prison, that they do want to start traveling. We discovered that over the December period, many people were adventurous, and it was really the adventurous people from about 25 to 40, and they all wanted to come to Africa, to Kenya, and be out, at Mara Plains, for instance. And everybody felt such a relief. You could see that people need soul food, and for me, soul food is being out in the wilds.
All right. So the Big Cats Initiative is an incredible program. We saw a great image with so many of the grantees and so many of the amazing projects. And each year we host in December a Big Cats couple of weeks, really, where we get to meet so many of those amazing grantees from around the world. I'm curious about just, how does it feel to know that, the spark of a project is driving so much big cat conservation, not only in Africa, but really around the world, India, North America, South America. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
When we realized after many years of working in the field, probably about 20 odd years working in the field, that there was a problem, and we looked at the stats, and you see how the numbers have declined. It is alarming. And so we knew that there was no other choice. Derek and I wouldn't be able to do it alone. And so talking about collaboration all the way through the talk, and honestly, that is exactly what we do. We collaborate as much as we can, because I think that's the only way we are going to have success on this planet, and of course, to protect the big cats. So it is key, and I love the fact that the grantees are bringing a force behind themselves with all the communities. So the education programs are important in the communities, but they have key people out of the communities that are driving the conservation message forward as well. And I believe that that's the only way we are going to be successful, because communities need to be the voice in each and every country that they're living in for there to be change in the governments.
Absolutely. And every one of the grantees that I've been able to host over the last few years have very robust community projects going, community buy-in, and it's amazing to see the impact that it is having. So Beverly, another question coming in here about your inspirations growing up or in school. Who inspired you?
Well, I suppose there were many. Derek and I met very early, and so I think we wanted to be the original explorers and went out, very early on. But probably somebody like Jane Goodall and Richard Leakey. There are many. Diane Fossey, for instance. There were many that inspired me, even Ian Douglas Hamilton, in protecting elephants. So each and every one alerted me early that there was an issue, but also it was looking at that lifestyle and the romance and discovery. And that's really what Derek and I started probably in the early 80s.
All right. And one final question, Beverly. I can't believe how quickly these events go. We have, thousands and thousands of students that take part in our regular events. We have lots of messages over the last 2 days from women who are tuning in, especially, college and university age. So what would you say to young conservationists who are excited and ready to get out and have an impact? What message do you have for them?
I think as a young conservationist, sometimes it might look daunting and pretty scary in not knowing, exactly what to do, and you don't want to put your foot sort of step out in the wrong direction, so to speak. And I think you just have to trust your heart. That passion is driving you forward, and connect with the right people. There's so many people around the world that can assist. So many people that are already doing, major projects, and maybe start off smaller and connect with them, and then launch yourself out and be that jewel that's going to help protect the planet.
All right. Well, Beverly, I can't thank you enough for starting off our day today with such amazing images and such hopeful projects. I have, followed and watched your videos for years, and I'm constantly inspired. So thank you for the incredible work you do. Thank you for being, I have no doubt that there's many young conservationists who are inspired by you and working towards their future careers. Coming up next, we have Shivani Bala, who's going to join us. So we're going to continue that Big Cats conversation. She's waiting backstage. So Beverly, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a real treat to start the day this way.
Thank you, Joe, and good luck with the rest of the program.
All right. Thank you so much.